Tonight, you will probably lie in bed for a while before you fall asleep. Maybe you'll check your phone one more time. Maybe you'll stare at the ceiling. Maybe you'll wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, lie there for an hour, and spend the rest of the next day feeling like something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. What's wrong is everything you've been told about how sleep is supposed to work. The 8-hour block, one long, unbroken stretch of unconsciousness from bedtime to morning, is not ancient. It is not natural. It is not what your body was built for. It is, in historical terms, a very recent invention, and the insomnia, the lying awake for no reason that tens of millions of people experience every single night, that may not be a disorder. It may be your body remembering something your modern life has forced it to forget. Let's start with a historian and a very old piece of paper. In the late 1980s, a historian at Virginia Tech named Roger Ekirch began noticing something strange buried inside the documents he was reading. He was studying nighttime in pre-industrial Europe, and scattered across the sources, diaries, court records, medical texts, prayer books, letters from ordinary people, he kept finding the same odd phrase: first sleep, second sleep, as if sleep wasn't one thing, as if it naturally had two parts. He kept pulling on the thread. Over the next 16 years, he found over 500 references to the same pattern across multiple centuries, a 16th century French physician recommending that couples who wish to conceive do so during the quiet hours between first and second sleep. A passage in Homer's Odyssey that, when retranslated without modern assumptions built into it, described a character waking from his first sleep in the middle of the night. Medical manuals advising patients to read, reflect, and pray during what they called the watch, the waking period that fell between the two halves of sleep. Ekirch published his findings in 2001 in the American Historical Review. His conclusion was simple and almost impossible to absorb. Before the industrial age, the natural human sleep pattern was not one continuous block of 8 hours. It was two separate blocks of roughly 4 hours each, with 1 to 2 hours of quiet wakefulness in between, every night for everyone. But here's what scientists couldn't agree on. Was this just a cultural habit, something people fell into out of circumstance, or was it something written deeper into human biology than anyone had realized? A year before Ekirch published his paper, a psychiatrist at the National Institute of Mental Health named Thomas Wehr had already run the experiment that answered the question. Wehr wanted to know what human sleep looked like without artificial light. He took a group of volunteers and removed every source of electric light from their lives. For 4 weeks, they experienced 14 hours of darkness every night, the same amount of darkness your ancestors lived with before fire and candles extended the usable evening. No lamps, no screens, no street light bleeding through the curtains, just darkness and time. For the first few weeks, the participants slept in long, irregular stretches. Their bodies were recovering from what Wehr suspected was a chronic sleep debt that most modern humans carry without knowing it. But then, around week 3, something shifted. Every single participant settled into the same pattern without being told to. 4 hours of sleep, an hour or two of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night, then 4 more hours until dawn. Nobody suggested this. Nobody modeled it. Their bodies simply did it, as if a program buried deep inside them had been running in the background all along, waiting for the right conditions to switch on. But the stranger finding was what happened during that waking window. Wehr measured hormone levels throughout the night. During the wakeful period between the two sleep phases, participants' brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin, the same hormone released during deep meditation, the same hormone the body produces after physical intimacy. It is associated with calm, with stillness, with a quiet dissolution of whatever anxiety had been filling the day. The participants described it themselves without any prompting. Not groggy, not anxious, not restless. They described feeling peaceful, deeply still. Several said it was unlike any waking state they had ever experienced in their regular lives. This was not insomnia. This was its own distinct state of human consciousness, one that had a name in the historical record, the watch, and that modern life had erased so completely that most people alive today have never felt it once. So, what killed it? The answer arrived faster than most people expect. In the 1600s, cities began installing oil street lamps. Paris led the way, London followed. Candles became cheaper. Gas lamps arrived in the early 1800s. And then, in 1879, Thomas Edison demonstrated a reliable electric light bulb. And within a single generation, the night that human biology had been calibrated against for 300,000 years simply ceased to exist. Your body has no way to tell the difference between a light bulb and the sun. When light hits the photoreceptors in your retina after dark, especially the blue spectrum light your phone and laptop emit, your brain interprets it as daytime. It suppresses melatonin, the hormone that signals the body to begin sleeping. It pushes your internal clock hours forward. It fragments the architecture of your sleep in ways that accumulate quietly across years, never showing up as a clean diagnosis, but always showing up somewhere. Researchers at the University of Colorado ran a study in 2013. They sent participants camping for 1 week with no artificial light at all. Within 7 days, melatonin onset in every participant had shifted nearly 2 hours earlier. Their bodies had recalibrated toward sunset and sunrise instead of midnight and 7 a.m., 2 hours in 7 days. That is how close the old system is. That is how quickly it reasserts itself the moment you stop flooding the night with light. And here's the part that sits with you long after you've heard it. The 3 a.m. awakening, lying there in the dark, mind quietly moving, unable to fall back into unconsciousness, is one of the most commonly reported sleep experiences in the modern world. Millions of people describe it. Doctors treat it. The sleep industry has built entire product lines around eliminating it. But in the historical record, that waking was not the problem. It was the point. Your ancestors lay in that darkness between first and second sleep and thought about their lives. They interpreted the dreams still fresh and vivid in their minds. They prayed. They whispered to whoever was lying beside them. They existed quietly, without agenda, without a screen, without anything required of them, in a reflective state of consciousness that the modern world has no name for, because the modern world has no place for it. We replaced all of that with the expectation of efficiency, 8 hours, unbroken, measured. And when the body wakes at 3 a.m. and reaches for what it has always been built to do, we diagnose it, we medicate it, we treat it as a malfunction in need of correction. 300,000 years of human sleep did not look like this. The evidence is in the court records. It is in the retranslated passages of ancient texts. It is in the hormone levels of volunteers sitting quietly in a federally funded laboratory with all the lights off. It is in every person who has ever woken at 3 a.m., lain there in the dark and felt beneath the anxiety about being awake, something that was almost, if they were honest, peaceful. Your body is not broken. It is remembering.